As promised, I am here this morning to have a conversation with a former client of mine, Vernetta Freeney. We're going to be talking today about alignment and authenticity. Alignment and authenticity. So if you're watching this on the replay, type in the comments section hashtag replay and would love to hear your feedback. Chime in. If something we say makes you say ouch, if something we say makes you say if something that we say makes you say it again, put that in the comment section, right? And if you have any questions based on what we're saying, I feel like I'm pretty good at checking my IG comments. If you have a question, just feel free to put it in the comment section or send me a direct message. I'm waiting for Vernetta to join me. But social media has created such a disconnect with people when it comes to being authentic because so many people feel like they need to show up in a very specific way. Hey, Z! Feel like they need to show up in a very specific way. And a lot of times, you don't feel like being on point all the time. Sometimes you just want to flow in your natural essence. And it's important that we give ourselves permission to do that. I know one of the things for me with coming live when I was first encouraged to go live on a regular basis, I was like, ain't nobody feel like dressing up all the time and putting on no stuff, But one of the things that I have learned, it's important for you to be okay with you. Once you're okay with you, you give yourself the permission to disconnect from how you're going to be seen and how people are going to see you. And it's important for you, first and foremost, to be authentic with yourself because trust me when I tell you, you can't keep up with the facade. You can't keep up with the masking for long. Because let's just face it, nobody's life is perfect. And it's very difficult for people to connect with someone who they feel has a perfect life because we all have flaws. And I think that's what really brings us together is our flaws, our pains, our insecurities. We feel like we can relate to somebody more when we feel like they have our story or they're going through what we're going through. There's my beauty. Hey, Renata. You look cute with your little head wrap and your glasses.
Thank you. It's Friday at home. I've been at home for like 6 months, so
might have to put my glasses on. I could see those. I need that too. So how you doing, Mama?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Woke up, but I'm good.
You're like, I think I'm good. I'm trying to get good. I'll let you know in about 10 minutes. But I was just chit-chatting a little bit and letting everybody know that, you're coming on and we're going to be talking today about alignment and authenticity. And so, let me introduce myself. I'm so bad at this. I am Danica Carruthers. I am your alignment coach. You can find me at danicacarruthers.com. And if you need to bring yourself into alignment with yourself, first and foremost, slide into my DMs. Burnett, I'm giving people permission to slide into my DMs these days. I used to kind of have a little wall up to that. What about you? Tell us who you are and if they can slide into your DM.
Okay, well, I would say I don't mind if people slide into my DMs because most times that's how people contact me. Even though my email is in my bio everywhere.
Yeah.
But we start where people are and then we move into the email. But I'm a blogger. I've been blogging. Next month will be 9 years professionally, but I started blogging in 2009, so that's 11 years total. And my focus on my blog is on the Black church and Christianity right now. So
Okay.
I go by Millenial Black Christian Blogger, and I know a lot of people have their personal beliefs or issues with Christians. And so the purpose of my blog is to really let you explore what Christianity is and what it isn't. And so this month I did a series on the early church, on the Eastern Orthodox Christianity churches of Egypt and Ethiopia, the kingdoms of Cush and Ascamum. And so, yeah, so that's what I blog about now. But before that, I blogged maybe 8.5 years as an event blogger. So I've been around the digital space for a very long time.
You have been committed to your process. Because I I know when you and I met, I think it was like 2012. And
Hmm.
when I first met you, you were doing some work with women. And I think that's why we kind of like connected because our heart space was, kind of in the same space. But the what you have chosen to blog on is really interesting. But I know, you know, so for those of you who don't know, I mightn't have said, Vernetta is a former client of mine, but she's become a friend. She's amazing. And I've just, had the opportunity to have a front row seat to her evolution and her journey. And, I send her messages from time to time with little smiley faces and heart faces. And I'm so proud of you, messages. But, I know when we first started working together, there was some struggles that you were having as it pertained to showing up in your authentic self from a place of not feeling like you had to fight everybody, right? But when you were able to see how important it is to come into alignment with the soul essence, with the higher aspect of who you are, that's when a major shift happened for you. And so this, even what you're blogging about now, I know came as a result of, your journey and your intention to really connect to your higher self, to your spiritual self, to the truth of who you are. So talk a little bit about our working together and how that transitioned you into what you're doing now and what you have discovered about yourself in this whole process.
Well, I think it was 2014 when we first started working together, because it was at your home office, and you live way south. If you know Houston, we don't like going outside of our neighborhoods, like at
I still
all.
live way south.
But anyway, so and honestly, I don't think I was ready. I think I maybe went a couple of times and was just not like, I wasn't ready. Um, I did learn some things, but I think I was just still, it was just so much pain, and I didn't know it was pain. I was just, my whole life was just move, 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 a lot of stuff going on, a lot of work, and family things, and it was just a lot. So I didn't really stick with it. I did work with another person after you. She did EFT. I went maybe a few times with her. Um, but during that time, I just wasn't feeling it.
Mhm.
And I'm not against any type of therapy or anything like that. It's just, I believe you have to be willing to accept to do the work, um, when you start. So it's going to be
Mhm.
counterproductive if you're not ready. So I know people are telling you, go see a therapist or go get help. You have to be ready to face whatever comes up. And so throughout the years, Danica would stay in touch with me, and I would stay in touch with her. Um, I think I kind of kept it very superficial. But then it was 2018, the worst year of my life. And
Mhm.
I say that now with a smile, but 3 years ago, 2 years ago, however
Mhm.
long it was, not with a smile.
Yeah.
And so I put a post on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I put a post on Facebook that said, it was long. I remember it was long. And I was like, y'all need to check on your strong friends. Like, there are some of us who are really struggling and we're always checking on people and we're always doing for the, I just went off on like thousands of people on Facebook. And within an hour, so many messages, phone calls, emails, DMs, from people all over, well, who was connected to me on Facebook, reaching out. And Danica was one of those people. And so we talked, and before I know it, I'm like on the bathroom floor crying. It was just, it was a lot that year that happened. And so she was like, I have this group coaching program. I think you should join. I think it would do well, or I think you would do well. So I did. And it was I would say, a pivotal turning point in my life, because it really forced me to look at things, and I was ready. because I literally said, what do I have to lose? Like, I had lost everything in 2018. So what did I have to lose? And so I did it. And around that same time, the church I'm a member at and also a small group leader at started. So having those two things happen at the same time when I said I'm ready really, really was the shift that I needed at that moment to be where I am today.
You're talking and I'm getting chills and I feel like I want to cry, right? Because I remember, the space that you were in at that time. And when I saw your post on Facebook, I was like, if I knew where you live, I was jumping in my car and coming to you, because I could feel the cry in your heart. And, you said I was in a lot of pain at that time. I'd lost everything. And, the thing about this life, Vernetta, I'm Tanika 5.2. Let me put my computer on mute. Um, the thing about this life is, we live in a life and an experience of contrast where there's up and down and in and out and light and dark and pain and pleasure. Pain is really a part of this life process. And one of the things that we've been conditioned to from children, I know I was, and I grew up in the Bahamas where they would tell you, you don't let people know what you're going through. You keep your sadness behind closed doors, especially if you're having problems in relationship. You don't let people know,
Hmm.
but our relationships are the thing that impact us on an emotional level, a mental level, a spiritual level, a health level, right? Because relationships are the very foundation of who we are, and we tend to look for everything that we need outside of ourselves. We're expecting people to show up for us. We're expecting people to be there for us. We're expecting people to love us. We're expecting people to support us. And the disconnect is that we don't give those things to ourselves. So when you talk about, coming into alignment with yourself, and I know this was definitely a part of your process, you kind of were like, fudgesicle everybody else. That's my new replacement word for the F word, fudgesicle. You were like kind of like fudgesicle everybody else. It's like you were at a place where you were just like done with people. There was so much
Hmm.
disappointment, for how you had shown up for people and they weren't there for you. And, you know, I so relate to that story. And I feel like that's a part of the spiritual connection process where you have to get to a place where it's not about the physical thing that you're looking for. Because as long as we have the distraction of the physical, we don't have any reason to connect to the authentic aspect of who we are. And so, you went into this dark place. I call it the dark night of the soul. And I feel like it's a place that everybody goes to at some point in their life. Either it's on the other side of a relationship breakup, on the other side of losing a loved one through death, on the other side of real health issues, you know. And I think it's a necessary part of the life process. And so as you went through all of that and you became ready, you told yourself you're ready, because that's key. Because let me tell you something, you can't help nobody who don't want to be helped, right? And so when you
Yeah.
talk about being ready, so talk a little bit about, in our working together, what you were able to learn about yourself that really has you on this new trajectory that you're on.
Um, well, it was that question from the first class, what brings you joy? And remember, I couldn't answer it. Like the whole, what were we, 3 months or something like that together, and I could not
Mhm.
answer that question. And so that shook me. Like, how can I not answer something so simple as what brings you joy? Other than my nephews and eating chocolate and ice cream, I couldn't answer the question.
She likes chocolate, y'all. She
Yes.
loves. She's
So,
another level chocolate lover.
right, and I'm on this 21-day fast with the church, so I have not had chocolate or ice cream. So I'm doing good, but it was just I couldn't answer a simple question in my mind. It was too simple of a question not to be able to answer.
Mhm.
Um, Yes. One of the comments is, it's the place we go to be open up, to fully awaken to our worth. We must do the work. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
so that question, I think of everything in the group really challenged me to like, hey, you need to be able to answer a simple question. Why can you not answer a simple question? And so it motivated me to answer all the questions from the homework, um, do all my reflection, everything that Danica had us do in the program, I did. I always came prepared to the next session with my answers because I couldn't answer that one question. And so I felt like if I did
Mhm.
everything, then eventually I would be able to answer that one question one day.
You know, that's so huge. Thank you so much for opening up this space. Um, the reason why so many people are living what I'm calling these days a sucky life. Y'all know I'm special, y'all, with my words. I just really want y'all to get it. Living a sucky life is because all they think about is what sucks in their life, right? And so many people cannot answer the question, what do you want? Cannot answer the question, what brings you joy? Because they're so focused on what they don't want and what makes them unhappy, right? And
Hmm.
if you continue to focus in that energetic space, you're going to continue to welcome that energy. Everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. So when you operate from a place of everything is wrong, ain't nothing right, it's another day, you send out that frequency because you're operating in that vibration. It's like sending out a boomerang. And that frequency has to come back to support the vibration that you're operating in, And so that's why I'm so passionate about what I do in helping people to align with, first and foremost, I do soul work. So I'm the alignment coach. I coach you in your life from the place of your soul, but it's all about aligning with the true essence of who you are because we're spiritual beings having a human experience, but people don't understand the aspect of soul. And it's so important that we understand the aspect of soul. So even with your study, I know you did a 365-day of reading the Bible in 365 days. And when
Hmm.
you talk about the Bible, we're told that God breathed into man the breath of life and man became a living soul. But we're so consumed and concerned with the physicality, with the human aspect of who we are, that we don't give ourselves the opportunity to understand the soul component. Because whether you understand a hurricane or not, whether you understand how electricity works, you're going to be affected or impacted by it. You're going to benefit from it, or it's going to be a problem for you. And we need to understand the deep aspect of who we are. So, what is it that led you into blogging about the church? And I want you to talk about, a lot of people hear the term blog and blogger. I don't think a lot of people know what that means. I want you to talk about the aspect of what you do. I want you to talk about the church part, like what you're blogging about now, because your blogs are really interesting. Like I just love them. I'm like, ooh, child, she just opened it up a whole other space for people. But I want you to talk about blogging and, like what it has done for you, why people need it, and how, you as a blogger can help people who don't like to write, because not everybody likes to write. But I want you to talk a little bit too about this blog that you're doing now and tell people how they can find it and why you're doing it.
So, okay, so for people who don't know what a blog is, it's short for weblog. Um, and it was
It's
started in
short,
like
it's short for what?
weblog.
Okay.
And so when it started, it was where like a bunch of computer nerds would kind of just post things that they were doing at work related to computers. It started about 1998, 1999. Then over time, Blogspot, which is now Blogger, and a few other places, they allow other people like us, regular people, to start just posting our thoughts. So my very first blog was prayingforpurpose.blogspot.com in 2009.
Did you say
Um,
pain for purpose?
praying,
Praying for purpose.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And
Wow.
so essentially, it was just a place, an online diary where you just post your thoughts, what you're doing. And so that's really how it started. Now it's a whole business. People are posting things to make money and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
And over the years, I've taught other people how to do that, how to make money. I've been making money on it since 2011. So um, I would say it's my saving grace because when I started it in 2011, I had just resigned from teaching in the school district in Houston. And it was something a friend was like, why don't you get back into it until you find a job? And within 6 weeks, I got my first paid opportunity. So I said, I'm gonna figure out how to blog and get paid. Is I
Mm.
like to write. I taught writing for 10 years, so I'm good at it. Why not why not get paid for it? But so essentially that's what blogging is. It started as an online diary, now is really a vehicle for marketing and advertising for brands, for your own business, for you to create things, for you to tell stories. Essentially, that's what it is now, a place for you to share and tell stories. Um, or that's the main reason you should use it, but other people just post to post. Um, so when Danique and I met, my blog was Women Are Game Changers. That was the second blog. And I blogged about women and all kind of things because I wanted to give a perspective against the narrative of the love and hip hop and basketball wives type of narrative that was all over reality TV. I didn't know
Mm.
anybody running on tables fighting at brunch, and so I wanted to spotlight those women, and so eventually I sold Women Are Game Changers, and now over time I've blogged about journaling. Again, I'm a writer, so I'm gonna teach people how to write. My podcast is about entrepreneurship. I had a national tour that sprung from Women Are Game Changers Fusion Tour, where introverted women could come and meet and learn about business and make connections. Um, and I've hosted events since. So my blog has evolved as I evolved. But VernettaFreeney.com right now, I talk about my Christian walk, my faith. And it came to be because at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, I'm probably never going to be able to go to another event. Just because,
Mm.
everything was closing down. And I don't like virtual events per se. I like to go to the live event and write the recap where you feel like you're there. And I knew that was changing. It was just not going to be the same because of the pandemic. And I got a word from God, like, hey, you should share more about your Christian faith because people were, like Danica said, following when I was posting on Facebook about reading the Bible in a year. I didn't think people would be interested in it, and yet they were interested in how are you reading something so big, and I finished it in 11 months. How did you do all that reading, working, running a blog, like still doing other stuff, but reading
Mhm.
reading that.
Mhm.
And now I was like, okay, I'll do that. And I was kind of nervous because, like, I hadn't been in church in like 15 years before I started attending and becoming a member of the church at the Well. And I had worked at a mega church. I had worked at a big church, um, but I had church hurt. And so, for people who don't know what that
Wait,
is,
wait, 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 wait. Yes, I need you to say that part slowly. So, and before you break that in, we need to understand every word you're saying because a lot of people experience that. So, say the word
so
again. What's the phrase?
church hurt. And so,
Church hurt.
and everybody has a different definition, but essentially it's where you felt, I'll put it in my words, essentially where you felt your soul was bruised by something that happened. Um, and so for me, it was a lot of things that had happened at the church. Don't get me wrong, I cut my teeth learning about leadership and ministry and running things at that church. It was a big church, a lot of things I learned, but it was a lot of things I learned that weren't so great about being around other people. And so it just, that part stuck with me more. And it made me feel like, gosh, you people are like hypocrites. Like, you know, this is not what I thought church was supposed to be about. And it just, you know, the way I was talked to by my direct leader, you know, and how I felt she got her position. You know, she was the pastor's daughter, and you know, it was just, it was a conflict between us, like always a conflict between us, because the parents in the ministry, I worked in the children's ministry, adored me, and they kind of didn't like her. So it was always a conflict between us, because I had the
Mm-hmm.
parents on her side and she had the pastor on her side. So so how do you compete, you know, with that? And so I left, and I was just like, this is not church. This is not what church is to me. And I didn't know at that time, because I was 20, 21, when I left, that church is not religion and religion is not relationship. So
Mm.
church is the building, religion is whatever they, traditions they put that in, and relationship,
It's a structure. It's a
yes,
structure. It's what,
and
you know,
relationship
religion
is personal. And so when um I started working with the people in,
let's pause there 1 second. Andrea 722 says, "Ain't no hurt like a church hurt." And
hmm
you said something really key. You said your soul was bruised by something that happened, right? Woo! Girl, I got chills. I'm about to sit back in this chair. Child. I already love the way I love where this conversation is going, because that's the essence of who we are. And the thing about church is you open up your soul because you feel like that's the place where you're safe to open your
hmm
soul up, right? And that's why the pain that you experience in that structure can be so devastating on an emotional level. There's a disappointment that comes on the other side of church hurt that so many
hmm
people don't know what to do with. And I so can relate to that because I know I had church hurt. You know, my foundation is the church. Uh, Grew up in the church, was praise and worship leader, choir director, work with youth ministry. And man, I had a hurt so bad in the church. But you said something key. You said religion is not relationship, and church is not, and religion is not spirituality either. And so the relationship that one has with the divine, with the creator, with God, with source energy, with infinite intelligence, however you deem it for yourself personally, is so personal and individual, Vernetta.
hmm
And and that's one of the things that I feel that religion does not allow for. It does not allow for people to have their personal relationship. You know, it's all this manipulation and control, and people telling you, but that's like someone coming and telling me how me and you should be in relationship with one another. I'll be the first person, and I know you'll be the second person to tell them, mind your own GD business, because this relationship ain't got nothing to do with you. And your relationship with the divine is personal. And, you know, anything that doesn't support that, I feel, you know, people are in a space right now where they're awakening, and, you know, if it don't fit, people ain't even trying to force it no more. It's like that one size fits all is one of the biggest lie, because one size don't fit most.
yeah.
And relationships are so personal and individual. So I want to thank you so much for saying that your soul was bruised by something that happened, but souls aren't bruised just in a church relation. Souls are bruised by broken relationships. When pain and hurt comes from relationships, and you know that church foundation is such a major relationship for so many people. And you said, you know, you've been at the church for 15 years. Child, you can't get me to go into a church building, like for real. Ever since I understand this spiritual connection, you can't And until spirit tells me to go, I ain't going. That's just my
Well,
position,
I
right?
did feel like that because when I moved to Atlanta in like 2006, people would invite me to church, and I would go, and I just wasn't feeling it. Um,
Hmm.
but again, that had happened. Me going to those churches was just right after me leaving Texas and the whole
Right.
situation with my church. And so, again, got to be ready. You have to be ready to
Got
go
to be
back
ready.
to church after.
Got to be
Um,
ready.
the reason I went is because the pastor and I had become Facebook friends, and this was before she even started the church. So she used to do prayer calls on like Periscope, and so that's how we met digitally. I meet a lot of people digitally who eventually
Hmm.
become someone I know. And so I'm not a morning person, so when I wake up, I would watch her Periscopes, and we eventually became Facebook friends. And then she started the church, and it's based in Memphis. I'm in the Houston area, so not like I can attend in person. So I think that helped me being able to watch online every week. Um, Eventually, I did. Earlier this year in January, I spent about 3 weeks in Memphis going in person to the church. And that was my first time in a church building in well over a decade. Um, but I
So
think,
how how did aligning with your authentic self move you through the soul bruising?
well, okay, that's what I was getting to. So it helped me ease in because she had the online space. So it allowed me to still get the word. And the way she preaches is not like how we do it way here in the South with the hooping and hollering and the feel, all that stuff. She breaks down the word where you understand it in a logical and practical manner. So
Hmm.
that struck with me. Um, but when she started the church in 2018, when I started working with you in 2018, I had already said, what do I have to lose? Because I was already at my lowest. So me having nothing to lose, me having no wall built up anymore, or me
Hmm.
tired of holding the wall, allowed way for that to be an option for me. And it's funny because she preached this recent Sunday about the first time you lose, you okay, so it was the Benjamites were going against the rest of the Israel tribes. And she was talking about how the rest of the Israel tribes lost twice to the Benjamites before they won on the third time. So the first time they lost, they went to seek God. The second time they lost, they were able to build their courage through God. The third time, God had them win. So I had already lost before 2018, but I never knew it. I never counted it as a loss because I was going through so much trauma. It wasn't a loss to me. 2018 was my big loss that propelled me back to finding something that would feed my soul. And
Mm.
I felt her manner of delivering the Bible, delivering the word, fed my soul. So that is how I was able to ease back in the church. And like I said, I didn't have to go into a building because I'm in the Houston area. She's in Memphis. Um,
Right.
so it helped for me having that online component without it feeling and being an introvert too, you know,
Right.
helping me
And
ease back in there.
what's so interesting is how at that juncture of your journey, you were getting that from the church and you were getting us working together. And the two things were working, hand in hand for you. And that's what's so important that people seek. I promote myself like this. If you're looking for something more than therapy, I'm the person to contact. If you're looking for that deep soul connected aspect, I'm the person to contact. And that's what sets me apart from a regular life coach because I do go to the place of soul. And, I feel like, when you feel lost, it's really the best time for you to explore your soul self. And like you said, I have nothing else to lose. Like you were kind of at a point where you didn't know what life was. You were seeking the higher aspect of who you are. Your journey was kind of like where my spiritual connection started, where I was like, listen here, God, I need to know the truth. I need to know who I am, why I'm here, what all this that I'm dealing with is all about. What's the
Right.
purpose? What's the bigger meaning? What's the bigger picture? And we just have to get to a place in life where we seek the bigger picture. Stop being all consumed in menial shit, stuff that doesn't matter. And when you get to a certain point in your life, you have to learn to identify what matters and what doesn't, right?
Show up in your life these days. Okay, Danica, you're back. I was just
Yeah,
gonna
you
answer.
yeah, you were spinning too, and I don't know who was still connected, me or you, because I was just talking, girl.
Yeah, we
Yeah, but
didn't hear any.
Drea
Well, I
17.
didn't hear anything. So I'm gonna answer Drea her question. She said, "How did your alignment and purpose show up for you in your life these days?" Um, I'm honestly still somewhat unpacking and understanding my purpose. Like I've known since I was like 11 or 12 that my purpose is to help people, but I always knew, well, I didn't always know. I learned later that it would evolve as I evolved. So how I help people is depending on where I am in that stage of life. Now I'm a co-leader in a small group. So that's one way I'm helping people is being able to help people understand the Bible and understand how it relates to their life and help them get revelation from that. Um, I sought alignment with God because I said, if nothing else, I could at least have someone. And to me, I felt God was that someone. If I had no one else, I needed to have the source of strength. And to me, that was God or is God. And so the way it's showing up for me these days is I'm not as stressed as I was before. I'm very content. I'm very calm. Um, I feel I have peace for the first time in my life, or at least my adult life. Um, I tell people I may not be where I want to be, but I'm very grateful to be where I am. Um, and so it's
and
just,
and I want to acknowledge right there, and I think that's key if people get it. You said I might not be where I want to be, but you are showing up in your life right now in a place of being. It's like, you know what? I don't know what tomorrow holds, but I'm going to be present right now today. And I feel like when you adopted that, everything changed for you because it wasn't about doing anymore, right? We get so consumed with doing
yeah.
for, stupid reasons most of the time. But when we learn how to just be with ourselves, and you said, and for me, the source of strength is God. And, one of the things that I teach is that source of strength is not outside of you. That source of strength, whether you call it God, source, creator, infinite intelligence, is within you, always was, always is, and always will be. And I believe that this journey that you're on, Vernetta, is going to really help, especially women, because as women, we've been so conditioned to look for everything outside of ourselves. Hey, Cassandra, we've been so focused to put our dependence in things that are external. But that stuff gonna pass away. That stuff is gonna leave you. That stuff is not gonna be available all the time. But when you come into that place of alignment, when you choose, make a decision to connect to the authentic aspect of who you are, that's the soul aspect of who you are. But even the soul gets stored up with a whole bunch of shit that we need to learn how to cleanse the soul space, right? But we have to be willing, first and foremost, to come face to face with ourselves. And when you became ready, it was really a decision. It's like, you know what? It ain't about nothing and nobody else but me. I need to work this out for myself. Because if I don't
Mhm.
work this out for myself, it's really the place that you got to. If I don't work this out for myself, then I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here, you know? And I just want to thank you so much for opening up your soul space to our audience today. And it's like, we got to be real with ourselves, people. And, I know as women, we've been conditioned in so many aspects to not want to trust people, but you got to trust somebody. Let me tell you something. If you find yourself in a really dark place in your life right now, you have to open up that space to someone, because being alone ain't serving you. And being alone will continue to spiral you down this path. And there is a point of no return. And that's why so many people are checking out. People are committing suicide on such a massive level right now, because it's like, ain't no point of return. So you don't want to get to that place. If you feel like there's more for you in your life and you're not quite sure what that looks like, please slide into my DM. And if you're at a place in your life right now where you're like, I want to create my own thing. I want to learn how to write. I have the gift of writing. I want to learn how to do this to make money, because coronavirus has really come about for us to really go within. That's what it
It's
serves.
really exposed a lot of instability in pretty much everything. Um, but I would say for me, it really hasn't exposed that much because I was already on the journey and I
Correct.
was already doing this. And like I had told Danica the other day, I said I woke up December 30th and I never quit a job like this. But I woke up and I sent a text and I said I can't do this. I can't come back. And I have not worked since. And you see, there's a roof over my head. I eat meals every day,
Oh,
you
I
know.
got the goosey. I got the goosey.
So it was just, and the job wasn't hard. It was just, I don't know what it was, but it was just like if I go back, I'm probably going to end up in jail.
Wow. But
So it was,
and and knowing what it was is not even important. Knowing what it was is not even important. It's following the path that you know your soul is calling you to. And that's what happens when your soul is communicating with you. You'll be doing some stuff and you'll be like, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I just know I need to make this decision. I know I need to disconnect from this, whether it
it's
be a job, whether
obedience
it be a relationship. Yes. But it's
because
that
I think,
unctioning.
I honestly think when I did my 40-day fast last year, the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, because I said I would never go and just eat one meal a day. I did it for 40 days. Um, I had never really felt that I heard God's voice before. And I'm sitting there,
Mhm.
it was a Saturday, and I'm sitting there in my prayer journal, just writing like, oh, I got to get my scriptures together as I'm finishing my reading the Bible and 52 weeks. And I realized, some of the dates had messed up on the person who gave it to me, so I'm trying to fix it. And I literally heard 40 days. And I'm like, just out of the blue, random. And it wasn't loud. People think when God's talking to you, it's like, boom, I am God, listen to me. It was not that. It was just very, very easy. And I'm thinking, 40 days, like a fast, I hadn't really understood fast. Um, and so I knew a fast from Ramadan because the place I worked, everybody was Muslim but me. So
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
watched them do Ramadan. So that was my understanding of a 40-day fast.
Mhm.
And by that Monday, I had already set it up because I needed to finish my ice cream. I'm not gonna lie, I needed to finish my ice cream first. And so I finished my ice cream and then I went on my 40-day fast. And it was one of the most emotional journeys of my life. And
Mhm.
most people that I know who said they gone on a fast, they always ended up with money afterwards. That didn't happen for me. And I blogged about it. but I learned more about myself, and I was able to really start seeing my actions, my behaviors. And I
Yes.
also started seeing what I should be grateful for. So I felt it was a successful fast. I may not have gotten that windfall of money that I hear other people get, but then I also learned that God is not a genie. Like, we don't fast so that he gives us something. We're fasting so that we learn something. And so going through this fast now with the church, I the revelations I'm getting are very, very powerful. And so I'll probably blog about them later, but I know for me that hearing from God is something that I didn't know I could hear personally. I thought it was just pastors or I felt you had to be called
Mm,
to hear.
mm,
And
mm, mm,
so when I hear, I have to learn to be obedient and to do. And so when I quit my job, it was something that I had been feeling for a few weeks, but I was like, I don't have another job to go to. But the day before, I literally heard God say, go to Memphis, because that's where the church is. And I thought it was, oh, I should move to Memphis. So the next day, it was, leave your job. Okay. So I leave my job. Um, the next week, I'm on my way to Memphis. No job. I'm staying in the Airbnb. No financial, like, it was no plan. I'm just showing up to a city I had never been to go to a
mm.
church I had never been to in person, to meet people I had only known online.
But and that's kind of what it looks like. And I don't want to cut you off, but Instagram shuts you off at a certain time, and I want to make sure that people know how to reach out to you, because a lot of people are in this state right now. So if you want to hear more about Vernetta's story, I know she will break it open to you. And if you know that
I was all on my blog. Y'all could read them.
Yeah. And if you're on this path where you know that you're being called into something that's greater and you don't quite know how to make steps to do that, that's what I do. And that's what I do very well. Contact me. So, Vernetta, let them know how they can reach out to you.
If you're on Instagram, just go to Vernetta Rochelle. My blog is Vernetta R. Freeney. Vernetta Rochelle on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. I think it's either Vernetta Rochelle or Vernetta R. Freeney. But if you're here on Instagram, just Vernetta R. Freeney, Vernetta Rochelle, and just reach out. My email is in my bio if you want to send an email.
Yeah. And if you want to learn, how to write to make money, please DM Vernetta. She teaches how to do that. And she does that very well. And right after we were working together, you did the coaching program with me. I know you got a contract to work with Cirque du Soleil, so you
Oh
can tell
yeah,
people
that was fun.
how, yeah, how to position themselves. And as women, that's what we're being called to right now. And that voice of God, that connection of God, that's in you. That's not outside of you. And so you got to go into that sacred space. You got to go into that silent space. Stop looking for it outside of you. I tell people all the time, Vernetta, stop looking in the sky when you're praying. Go within, close your eyes, hear that still small voice within you, and that's who we are. We all have that connection. Some people don't know how to tap into it. If you want to hear Vernetta's personal story, contact her. You want to know how to write, contact Vernetta. If you want to know how to connect to the aspect of who you are, contact me. And let's do this. Drea says, I'm writing book 3 now. I will be calling you Vernetta. Awesome. So she's going to slide into your DM, Drea722. And this is what it's all about. Excuse me, Vernetta. It's all about us coming together and helping each other to change the game. It's about us coming together and helping each other to connect to the divinity of our femininity. It's
Can
us
I say
coming
one
together.
thing before we go? Because
Absolutely.
I know you mentioned about God being inside. I don't think we understood, or at least I didn't understand. Let me speak for myself. I didn't understand that. I knew people were like, the spirit is inside of you. What does that mean? What does
Hmm.
that mean? And so I had to learn that God, He was always there, always inside. I didn't know how to connect. I didn't
Mhm.
know how to listen. We all
Mhm.
know how to speak because we're always like, well, they got this car and they got this. We know how to whine and complain, but we don't know how to listen and reflect and be led. And so I really hope that a lot of people use this time with this pandemic as a way to tap in.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me or if you can hear Vernetta. Okay, yeah,
Maybe go off social media for a week, or like I did, leave Facebook. Life has been so great since I shut down my personal Facebook page. You know, sometimes you just have to let go of things we think we need or like. I
yeah.
realized I don't think people liked me on Facebook, but they sure did like my intellect. They sure did like my thoughts, but it wasn't, I felt used. And since leaving Facebook, I feel like I have so much more energy. I felt like I was
Mm.
intellectual entertainment on that platform. And it's amazing because last night I texted a few people and they were all like, oh my God, I miss you. These are people I talk to. But overall, I realized not that many people liked me. They liked what I could do for them. So I had to be okay with leaving Facebook and it not making me feel like some big person, because you know what? I was being used by a lot of people on that
And you
platform.
and you had to be okay with choosing you. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And there are times when you have to disconnect from the distraction in order to be able to connect to the power and the purpose. And it's, this is one of the things that I learned early, and I'm grateful for this. Like, what I do is not about people. It's not for people. It's not for validation. It's not for accolades. My whole thing was rejection. So I never really had the validation. And I guess that was all a part of the purpose too. My thing that I do every day is about me walking in my purpose. It's about me delivering the gift that God has implanted in me, that Spirit has implanted in me to deliver to other people. And that's what we have to learn, Vernetta, to just disconnect from people. That's why I say I don't give a shit about what people think. You could unfollow, you could not listen. You know what I mean? But the person who you have that message for, like Drea said just now, this has been powerful. If it's just one person that you have a message for, it's your responsibility to show up for that person and
Hmm.
not be attached to what they do with whatever you offer. Right. And so this has been powerful. And I thank you so much for, opening up your heart space and being willing to have this conversation with me. And these are the conversations that I want to have that are meaningful and powerful and that touch people in the soul place, that get you to think about your own life, that get you to see that you can have something more, that you can do something more, that you can be something more if that's what you desire. But like you said, Vernetta, don't just sit back and watch what people do. I say peeping through people's social media window and, envying what people have and wishing that you could lose the weight or have the successful business or speak that way or be a blogger or leave your job. Don't be sitting down wishing that you could do it, watching people. Use that experience to encourage yourself that if somebody else did it, you can do it too, but you're not going to do it sitting down on your hiney, worrying, wondering, and freaking
Yeah.
staying in a cycle of shit, I say, right?
Because
Y'all know shit
you
gonna
need to
come
be
out.
able to answer that question Danica said, what do you want? My answer was peace. I didn't, it wasn't no position or something. It's peace.
Yes,
I've gone through too much trauma in my life, and that's all I've wanted.
yes,
And it, like I said, I may not be where I want to be, but I am grateful because I am in a stage of peace, a state
yes.
of peace.
And
And
peace is priceless. It
exactly.
is
So,
priceless.
so
And
I'm like, I can sleep.
Instagram gonna cut us off soon, but I'm gonna let you talk until Instagram cut us off. I'm gonna let you know when I see the countdown. But finish
Okay.
what you're saying.
No, I was just gonna say, I could sleep at night finally, like deep sleep. Um, and it is a totally different feeling.
And that there is so powerful because when you sleep, the body is healing itself. So if you're not sleeping at night, you wondering why you have all these health issues, it's because your body doesn't even have the environment that it needs to be able to restore, to be able to rebuild, to be able to heal.
Hmm.
And so if you don't have no peace, if you know you feeling sick in your body, it's your responsibility to connect to what you need. Stop talking about what you don't have. Let me tell you something. One of the greatest lessons I learned is when I made a decision that I could have whatever I want, be whatever I want, do whatever I want, everything showed up to support that process. So you can have excuses or results. You cannot have them both. Stop complaining. Stop complaining. Decide what you want. Decide that you can have it and make the steps necessary towards creating that. Because murmuring and complaining ain't getting you no further to the thing that you want. So Vernetta, thank you so much, my love. So beautiful. I could see
Thank
the
you for
peace.
having me.
I could see the peace on you, girl. There is just a whole different energy that is on you. It's beautiful when you step into that because the beautiful thing is when you embrace that for yourself, nothing and nobody can take that away from you. Nothing and no one
Yeah,
can take that
people don't
away from you.
understand that there are some things that others just can't take unless you give it.
Absolutely. Well, I love you so much. I love our viewers. Thank you so much. Put your comments in the comment box. We'd love to hear from you. Let's continue this conversation. That's right, Drea. Excuses or results, not both. You can't have them both. You can have one or the other. But the beautiful thing is, you have the power to choose every time. Love you, Vernetta. We will
Love
talk
you
very soon,
too.
sweetie pie.
Thank you for
And
having
thank you
me.
to everybody. Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.